This is a continuation of my conversation of one of my favorite little books called A Facility Based on Change by Robert Propst, written in 1968. It's still, I consider to be a must read. It's hard to get on Amazon. If you work with a Herman Miller or Noel dealer, maybe they can get one. They're still pretty scarce. What I'd like to look at today is Probst's design process, how he looked at the problem of moving from an industrial era into the information age. And the distinct problem that he was defining was the overabundance of information and trying to sort through and make sense of it, and the constant change of that information. So that is the problem set, and he developed 9 design criteria to create a solution which became known as Action Office. So the two things I'll do is I'll walk through those 9 criteria. I'll land on the very first one. We'll talk about that today. But I also want to share the relevance of that kind of thinking for moving forward as we get beyond the pandemic and begin to redefine the problem set for the new environment post-pandemic. So let's look at the 9 criteria. The first one is forgiving. The second is coherent. The third, process forwarding. The fourth, modular limited. The fifth, open-ended. Sixth, readily available. Seventh, replaceable. Eighth, progressively enterable. And number 9, facility renewing. Now, I know some of those names or words may not make complete sense, but they will as I go through them in future posts and bring them into context. But first, let's talk about forgiving. This is probably the most important criteria in an environment of change, because the opposite of forgiving is it penalizes you. So if you have to change, or if in the middle of the process change is needed, you want to minimize the penalty. And the penalty can be a cost penalty, a hassle penalty, a complexity penalty. All those things are constraints. And the bottom line is the less forgiving the solution is, the less likely you are to want to change it. And you'll live with the disconnect between the changing needs of the business and the environment. In fact, one corporate real estate executive shared with me that the cost and the hassle of changing their particular furniture solution was so great that the pain differential between the needs of the business and the environment, that they waited as long as they could, let the pain build up between the need and the environment until they made a change, because any kind of change really exacted a high cost of time and money in order to make it happen. So that's the forgiving criteria. Now, as we look moving forward, we have additional challenges in a post-pandemic environment. And one of the most important challenges that wasn't really part of Probst's problem set was the whole challenge of employee sustainability, or in other words, physical health and mental well-being. So as we consider and move forward, I will propose what I think might be some new criteria for the new workplace. So take care.